Sir, can you please stop for a moment and answer a few questions?
I haven't done anything wrong. Why am I being stopped?
Do you know why I pulled you over?
I was just leaving my office. That's it. Please explain the reason for this stop. It seems completely unnecessary.
We need to clarify the situation before...
The humid air hung heavy over Viridian City on the evening of October 27th, a thick blanket of unspoken tension that often settled with the dusk. It was 7:47 p.m., and the streetlights were just beginning to hum to life, casting long, distorted shadows down Elmwood Avenue. For attorney Lena Thorne, it was just another Tuesday, a late departure from her downtown office, her mind still dissecting the intricacies of a complex civil rights brief. For Officer Miles Corbin, badge number 412, it would be the evening his career imploded, captured in stark, unforgiving detail by the small lens of a body-worn camera. Miles Corbin had accumulated a staggering 11 complaints in his brief 18-month tenure with the Viridian City Police Department. 11, most of them dismissed as unsubstantiated or minor procedural deviations. But 11 complaints for a rookie officer spoke volumes. A crescendo of red flags ignored, a pattern of behavior allowed to fester. On this night, those complaints, that history, would collide with Lena Thorne, a woman whose professional standing, whose very identity, should have shielded her from such an encounter, yet instead became the catalyst for its biased escalation. Lena Thorne, a partner at one of the most respected law firms in the state, a legal mind celebrated for her meticulous approach and unwavering commitment to justice, found herself treated not as the esteemed professional she was, but as a suspect, a threat, a person whose very presence was deemed out of place. This wasn't merely a misunderstanding. It was a systemic failure, a stark illustration of how quickly privilege can be stripped away when prejudice takes the wheel. Before we continue, where are you watching from? Drop a comment below and let us know. Your engagement fuels these stories, ensuring that the critical conversations around accountability and justice continue to resonate far beyond these pixels. Viridian City, a sprawling metropolis nestled against the winding currents of the Seminole River, was a city of contrasts. Its gleaming financial district, where Lena Thorne's office occupied the 30th floor of the prestigious Sterling Tower, gave way to historic neighborhoods lined with brownstones and ancient oaks. It was in one of these quiet, tree-lined streets, just blocks from her own apartment in the well-established Cedar Ridge district, that the incident unfolded. The air was still, save for the distant wail of a siren and a faint smell of jasmine wafted from manicured gardens. The sky, a bruised purple, threatened rain, adding a brooding atmosphere to the unfolding drama. Lena Thorne wasn't just any lawyer. She was a beacon of achievement, a testament to relentless dedication and intellectual prowess. Born and raised in the heart of Viridian City, she had navigated a challenging upbringing with a singular focus on education. Her academic journey began at Viridian High, where she graduated valedictorian, earning a full scholarship to Yale University. There, she double majored in political science and African American studies, graduating summa cum laude. Her ambition, however, didn't stop at an undergraduate degree. She pursued her Juris Doctor at Harvard Law School, where she excelled, earning a coveted spot on the Harvard Law Review and graduating in the top 5% of her class. Her career trajectory was equally meteoric. She began as a clerk for a federal judge, then joined the venerable firm of Sterling and Hayes, specializing in constitutional law and civil rights litigation. By her early 30s, she had made partner, a feat rarely achieved by someone her age, let alone a black woman in a predominantly white, male-dominated field. She had successfully argued cases before the state Supreme Court, earning accolades like the American Bar Association's Young Lawyer of the Year award just 2 years prior. Her most recent triumph involved a landmark class action suit against a major corporation for discriminatory hiring practices, securing a multi-million-dollar settlement for the plaintiffs. Lena Thorne didn't just occupy a position of power and influence. She had earned it every single step of the way, through sheer talent, hard work, and an unyielding commitment to justice. Officer Miles Corbin, by stark contrast, had a professional record that painted a disturbing picture of disregard for protocol and propensity for aggressive, often racially charged encounters. His 18 months on the force were punctuated by a series of complaints that, while individually dismissed, collectively revealed a clear and troubling pattern. His first formal complaint surfaced just 3 months into his probationary period on April 12th of the previous year, during a routine traffic stop in the predominantly black Northwood district. Corbin pulled over Marcus Bell, a 28-year-old software engineer, for a broken taillight. According to Bell's sworn statement, and partially corroborated by dashcam footage, Corbin escalated the interaction without provocation, demanding Bell exit his vehicle, despite Bell presenting his license and registration immediately. Corbin reportedly used racially coded language, questioning Bell's presence in a nice car in that neighborhood. The complaint alleged excessive force when Corbin forcibly removed Bell from the car, twisting his arm behind his back, resulting in a sprained wrist. Internal Affairs reviewed the footage, but due to a technical glitch at a crucial moment, the complaint was deemed unsubstantiated, and Corbin received only a verbal warning for improper tone. 6 months later, on October 5th, Corbin was involved in another incident, responding to a noise complaint at a college party near the university campus. He was accused by multiple students of using unnecessary force to break up the gathering. Witnesses stated Corbin deployed pepper spray into a crowd that was already dispersing, striking 2 bystanders who were not resisting. One of the victims, a 19-year-old student named Chloe Davis, suffered an asthma attack requiring hospitalization. The department found Corbin's actions to be within policy for crowd control, despite conflicting witness accounts and Davis's medical report. He was advised to exercise more discretion, a recommendation that carried no disciplinary weight. A third complaint, perhaps the most telling, emerged on February 18th of the current year. Corbin and his partner were called to a local convenience store following a report of shoplifting. The suspect, a 16-year-old black teenager named Jamal Hayes, was apprehended by store security before officers arrived. While Hayes was already handcuffed and compliant, Corbin reportedly subjected him to a prolonged, aggressive search, emptying his pockets onto the floor and making disparaging remarks about his family and neighborhood. The complaint, filed by Hayes' public defender, cited racial profiling and humiliation. Internal Affairs again reviewed the incident, but because Hayes was indeed found with stolen candy, Corbin's actions were rationalized as thorough investigation, and the complaint was closed without action. The pattern was clear: a tendency towards escalation, a disregard for de-escalation tactics, and a consistent application of aggressive tactics, particularly against individuals of color, all while remaining shielded by departmental interpretations of policy. These incidents, brushed aside by the system, laid the groundwork for the inevitable confrontation that would define Officer Miles, Corbin's career. The call came in at 7:35 p.m. Dispatch radioed out a suspicious person report. Female, approximately 5 feet 7 inches, dark clothing, carrying a bag, walking eastbound on Elmwood near Cedar Ridge. Caller stated subject appears to be loitering and doesn't look like she belongs. The description was vague, generic, and instantly raised red flags for any officer trained in identifying racial profiling. Doesn't look like she belongs, a phrase that has time and again been used to justify the targeting of black individuals in predominantly white or affluent neighborhoods. Lena Thorne, completely unaware of the broadcast, was precisely where she belonged, walking home. She had just finished a marathon session, finalizing a crucial motion, a late dinner consisting of a lukewarm salad eaten at her desk. She wore a tailored charcoal pantsuit, her work bag slung over her shoulder, a small, elegant briefcase in her hand. Her AirPods were in, a podcast on constitutional law playing softly, a familiar soundtrack to her nightly decompression. Her mind was still buzzing with legal arguments, anticipating the next day's court filings. She wasn't loitering. She was walking with purpose, her pace brisk, her thoughts miles away from the quiet street she traversed. Then, the sudden flash of blue and red in her periphery. A patrol car pulled up sharply beside her, the tires hissing on the damp asphalt. The window rolled down, revealing Officer Miles Corbin, his expression already hardened, his hand resting on his service weapon. "Evening, ma'am," Corbin began, his voice clipped, devoid of courtesy. "Can I ask what you're doing out here?" Lena removed her AirPods, a polite but firm smile on her face. "Good evening, officer. I'm walking home. My apartment is just 2 blocks down." This isn't your neighborhood, is it? Corbin pressed, his eyes scanning her, dismissing her professional attire, her calm demeanor. Lena's smile tightened slightly. Actually, it is. I live on Maple Street. She paused and added, Is there a problem? We receive a call about a suspicious person matching your description, Corbin stated, his tone implying her guilt. Need to see some ID. Lena reached into her work bag, pulling out her wallet. Of course. She handed him her driver's license. As he took it, she also offered her State Bar Association ID, a small plastic card with her photo and licensed attorney clearly visible. And this is my bar card for your reference. Corbin barely glanced at the bar card. He held her driver's license, scrutinizing it. Lena Thorne, Maple Street. Huh, anyone can fake that. And a bar card, you can get those online. His dismissive tone was palpable, cutting through the quiet evening air. The implication was clear. Despite presenting legitimate identification, he refused to accept her reality, her identity, simply because it didn't fit his preconceived narrative. Should officers be required to verify credentials presented by a citizen, especially when those credentials directly contradict the premise of a suspicious person stop? Or should an officer's subjective suspicion always take precedence? Lena's composure began to fray at the edges. Officer, I assure you, my credentials are very real. I'm a partner at Sterling and Hayes, a law firm downtown. I just left my office. She gestured vaguely back towards the direction of the financial district. Partner at a law firm? Corbin scoffed, a sneer playing on his lips. Walking around in the dark? Sounds like a good story. I'm going to need you to step over here, away from the vehicle. He opened his door, beginning to exit, his hand still on his firearm. Officer, I am not required to move unless you have probable cause to arrest me, Lena stated, her voice now firm, authoritative. I have provided identification. I have committed no crime. What is your probable cause? Corbin stepped out fully, his imposing figure casting a shadow over her. You're being uncooperative. That's cause enough for me. Now, step over here, or I'm going to have to consider you resisting. The rapid-fire exchange was captured by the Bodycam, every inflection, every hostile gaze. Lena, acutely aware of the power dynamics and the potential for escalation, stood her ground but kept her hands visible. I am not resisting, officer. I am asserting my rights. I am a legal professional, and I know my rights. Oh, you know your rights, do you? Corbin sneered, taking a step closer. Good for you. Doesn't mean you get to ignore my lawful commands. By now, a few lights in nearby houses had flickered on. A couple walking their dog had stopped, their faces etched with concern. A young man, drawn by the raised voices, began recording on his phone from across the street. The quiet street was no longer silent. It was a stage for a brewing confrontation, fueled by one officer's refusal to acknowledge legitimate authority. Suddenly, a new voice cut through the tension. Corbin, what the hell is going on here? Sergeant Marcus Rodriguez, a veteran officer with 2 decades on the force, had been patrolling a few blocks over when he heard the increasingly agitated tones in Corbin's radio transmission. He recognized the young officer's tendency towards confrontation and had diverted his patrol car immediately. He pulled up behind Corbin's vehicle, his expression thunderous. Sergeant, I've got a suspicious person here. Refuse and comply, Corbin began, attempting to justify his actions. Rodriguez ignored him, his gaze fixed on Lena Thorne, who stood composed but visibly shaken. He then looked at the bar card still clutched in Corbin's hand, then back at Lena. Attorney Thorne? He asked, recognizing her name from numerous community events and legal seminars. Lena nodded, a flicker of relief crossing her face. Yes, Sergeant. I believe Officer Corbin has some questions about my walk home. Her voice was laced with controlled indignation. Rodriguez's eyes narrowed, shifting from Lena to Corbin. Miles, step back. Give me your badge and your weapon. Now. The command was delivered with an unyielding finality, leaving no room for argument or delay. The immediate intervention, the direct order to disarm, signaled an undeniable acknowledgement of the gravity of Corbin's actions. The immediate aftermath was swift and decisive, a stark departure from the typical slow-grinding gears of institutional review. Sergeant Rodriguez, after a brief, hushed conversation with Lena Thorne, confirmed her identity and profusely apologized for Officer Corbin's conduct. He personally escorted her the remaining 2 blocks to her apartment, ensuring her safety and offering the department's full cooperation in any subsequent investigation. By the time Lena had unlocked her door, Miles Corbin was already being driven back to the precinct, his service weapon secured in a supervisor's evidence bag, his badge confiscated, his probationary period officially over, effective immediately. He was placed on administrative leave, pending a full internal investigation, a fate sealed by the unblinking eye of his own body camera. This incident, caught on video and quickly disseminated, immediately sparked a firestorm. Should officers who demonstrate such clear patterns of misconduct, especially those involving racial bias and abuse of authority, face automatic termination without the protracted process of internal reviews that so often lead to little or no disciplinary action? The Bodycam footage, released within 24 hours under intense public pressure and Lena Thorne's legal team's demands, exploded across social media. The clip, just under 7 minutes, showing Corbin's aggressive questioning, his dismissive attitude towards Lena's credentials, and his outright sneering at her profession, garnered over 50 million views on YouTube within the first 48 hours. It trended globally on Twitter for 3 days under hashtags like #JusticeForLena, #ViridianPoliceBrutality, and #BodyCamTruth. Local news outlets ran continuous coverage, and national networks picked up the story, featuring Lena Thorne's calm yet powerful recounting of the event. The Viridian City Police Department and the City Council found themselves under an unprecedented microscope. Within a week, Lena Thorne, represented by a formidable team of civil rights attorneys from her own firm, filed a federal lawsuit against Officer Miles Corbin, the Viridian City Police Department, and the City of Viridian. The complaint, a meticulous 87-page document, alleged false arrest, racial discrimination in violation of the 14th Amendment, civil rights violations under 42 U.S.C. Section 1983, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. It cited Corbin's documented history of complaints as evidence of a pattern and practice of unconstitutional policing, arguing that the department's failure to adequately address these prior incidents constituted deliberate indifference. The city, facing overwhelming public condemnation, irrefutable video evidence, and the prospect of protracted and damaging legal battle, moved quickly to settle. On December 15th, just 7 weeks after the incident, Viridian City announced a settlement with Lena Thorne for a staggering $7.5 million. It was the largest individual civil rights settlement in the city's history, a somber acknowledgement of the profound harm inflicted and the systemic failures that enabled it. The settlement agreement included a clause that prohibited the city from rehiring Miles Corbin in any capacity. Simultaneously, the Viridian City Police Chief, in a public statement, announced Corbin's immediate termination. The termination letter, a copy of which was later made public, stated, "Officer Miles Corbin's conduct on October 27th, as fully documented by his body-worn camera and corroborated by witness statements, demonstrated a profound lack of judgment, a disregard for departmental de-escalation protocols, and an unacceptable pattern of unprofessional and racially biased behavior that is antithetical to the values of the Viridian City Police Department. His actions constitute gross misconduct and a breach of public trust." Furthermore, the department initiated the process for decertification with the state's Peace Officer Standards and Training Post Board, effectively ending Corbin's career in law enforcement across the state. Lena Thorne's testimony, delivered with an unwavering gaze and a voice that resonated with both pain and power, became a rallying cry for justice. At a packed press conference following the settlement announcement, she stood before a phalanx of cameras and microphones, her presence commanding, her message clear. "This incident," she began, her voice steady despite the tremor of emotion, "was not just about me. It was about the insidious nature of bias, about the arbitrary power wielded by those sworn to protect, and about the systemic failures that allow such power to go unchecked. If this can happen to me, a Harvard-educated lawyer, a partner at a prominent firm, someone with resources and a platform, what happens to those without my privileges? What happens to the countless individuals who don't have a body camera rolling, who don't have a legal team at their disposal, who don't have the public spotlight shining on their injustice? Her words hung in the air, a stark challenge to the comfortable narratives of justice. My degrees, my professional accolades, my address, none of it mattered in that moment. All that mattered was the color of my skin and an officer's preconceived notion of who belongs and who doesn't. This was not a mistake. It was a manifestation of deep-seated prejudice, enabled by a system that has, for too long, turned a blind eye to its own failings. This powerful testimony raises a critical question. When an officer's actions are so clearly biased, so demonstrably in violation of civil rights, and result in such a significant financial burden on taxpayers, should it automatically trigger a federal investigation into the patterns and practices of the entire police department? The internal investigation, spurred by the lawsuit and public outcry, delved deeper than previous reviews, thanks in large part to the uncompromising scrutiny demanded by Lena Thorne's legal team. The department's official findings, released as part of the settlement agreement, laid bare a series of systemic failures. The report highlighted inadequate bias training, noting that Officer Corbin's initial training in implicit bias was a single, 4-hour online module completed during his academy tenure, with no follow-up. It pointed to a critical lack of oversight for rookie officers, especially those with early warning signs in their complaint records. The unsubstantiated dismissals of Corbin's previous complaints were reevaluated, revealing a pattern of departmental minimization and a failure to recognize escalating risk. The dispatch protocol itself was flagged for its reliance on vague, potentially biased suspicious person descriptions without requiring more objective criteria. The report concluded that the department's culture had, in effect, fostered an environment where an officer like Corbin could operate with impunity, his biases unchecked, until an undeniable incident forced accountability. In response to these damning findings, the Viridian City Police Department, under the guidance of the newly appointed police chief Anya Sharma, announced a sweeping slate of reforms. These included mandatory, recurring in-person implicit bias training for all officers, with focus on de-escalation techniques and community engagement. The department committed to a revised early warning system for officers with multiple complaints, mandating immediate intervention, counseling, and retraining. A new community oversight board, with subpoena power, was established to provide independent review of citizen complaints and departmental policies. Furthermore, the dispatch system was overhauled to eliminate vague, suspicious person calls, requiring dispatchers to obtain specific, articulable facts before sending officers. These were not just cosmetic changes. They represented a fundamental shift in how Viridian City intended to police itself. The case of Lena Thorne and Officer Miles Corbin serves as a stark, undeniable indictment of a system where unchecked bias can override all evidence, all reason, all professional standing. It illuminates the profound power imbalance inherent in police encounters, where an individual's rights, dignity, and even safety can be instantly jeopardized by a single officer's prejudice. Miles Corbin lost his career, decertified, his professional life irrevocably shattered. Lena Thorne, while securing a measure of justice in a historic settlement, endured a trauma of being reduced to a suspicious person, her identity stripped away in a moment of arbitrary power. The city of Viridian paid $7.5 million, a monumental cost to taxpayers. All because A, system failed to address a clear pattern of misconduct until it became a national scandal. The question now is, what changes? What truly shifts when such a high-profile case brings undeniable evidence to light? Does the system learn, or does it merely adapt to mitigate public outrage? We've seen reforms announced before, promises made in the wake of tragedy and injustice. But without sustained vigilance, without a persistent demand for accountability, these reforms can become little more than performative gestures. We invite you to join the conversation. Do you believe bodycam footage should be instantly accessible to the public, or should there be a waiting period? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your input is vital in shaping the discourse around police accountability. This isn't just about Lena Thorne or Miles Corbin or Viridian City. It's about all of us. It's about the fundamental right to walk safely, to be treated with dignity, to have our identities respected, regardless of our skin color or perceived status. We're not stopping our pursuit of these stories. because the fight for true justice, for genuine accountability, is far from over.